an hour. So timing just about into Waterloo. Papillion 543 down here, La Vista 545, Exarban right here, sort of midtown Omaha 551, downtown Omaha right there 557, Carter Lake 601, Council Bluffs 603. So the Weather Service, pretty good job with their warning. This goes until 6:15, but it's that leading edge that is just, boy, surging eastward. Let me clear that out now. Get rid of that and back to the velocity. There you go. So the strongest winds that we're seeing at the moment. Wow, there you go. So that's that camera at the Methodist Women's Hospital, and it is right into it. That camera, you'll see, is right here. I'm showing this spot right there. That's where the rain is hitting the camera, and our radar is showing the winds just barely about on the other side of the road, 57 miles an hour. Right there at the camera site itself, 43.1 miles an hour. So the rain hitting the camera there, but just to the west of that, 54, 53, 53. Let me see if we have anything stronger, then I'll clear those out. And then the area south of there, this is again in Douglas County, but west of Millard, this would be 57, 70. Here we go. Now those winds are advancing a little more quickly into the area around Oakview Mall, which is right about here. And you see the rain pouring down on the camera lens here. So this leading edge continues to work through the Omaha Metro. Very strong wind speeds. Broaden this out a little bit.
Yeah, Bill, looks like the National Weather Service says 64 miles per hour now at their office there in Valley, and it's consistent. All the wind reports along the front line we're showing here with radar are in the 60 to 70 mile per hour range. So
you bet. So the Weather Service office in Valley is kind of right about here. So our radar is estimating winds between 62.9 and 75. So, and they're measuring 64 right in there where Valley, the Weather Service office is located. So that's gives you an idea of how the radar works and then just how it shows up. Wow, look at that, Luke.
Yeah, it looks like they put a new severe thunderstorm warning on this as well. Still with the destructive tag, and they have it up to 80 mile per hour winds. It's just now out until 6:30, so I think it's just an extension of the warning we're looking at right now.
Goodness, our radar is showing 97.8. Now that might be a little bit above the ground, but I'm going to widen this out. Yeah, Luke, they just, is that the new warning to the south?
It might be. Let's see. Yes,
that goes until 6:30 for Mills County and also Cass County, and then Northwest Fremont County of Iowa, and then Douglas County, 6:15. So perhaps that's the new warning, and I think so. So the destructive tag continues for all these, for Lancaster County until 6, Douglas County 6:15, and then the southern one goes until 6:30 that catches Cass County. So all of that moving on through. So here's a look at regular radar. So this is what you usually see when you look at radar. Green is light rain, yellow is heavier rain, orange heavier, red, and then purple, if we get it, is super heavy rain. This is moving pretty fast. This is not going to be super heavy rainfall totals, but it's the wind, it's the leading edge that continues to really, really grab my attention here. And again, zoomed in tight, right on top of this stuff. This just continues to accelerate, and boy. Maureen, you said we've got pictures from Gretna, is that right? Because Gretna is kind of we're right in this very strong winds that we've seen through there. Wow, that was that shelf cloud that was coming into Gretna, and that was sort of right out ahead of the leading edge of the wind, but that's that lowered cloud. And if you're in Council Bluffs and you look to the west, that's probably what you're seeing. Same thing toward Carter Lake, looking to the west, you're seeing that, and you get into Missouri Valley, you get farther up into Blair and areas out ahead of this, but that is spectacular. Looking back at those lowered clouds coming on in, Kathleen Lemon, appreciate her sending in that one. And, that's what we're under, the very, very strong winds. All of this, winds advancing toward our radar at a high rate. This entire swath here, 192nd is the camera that's showing up there. And as I zoom in here, we're under there. Some of the very strongest winds are just north of there. So our radar is showing it right here, which is about 204th and Maple. So right into Elkhorn. And let's see what the radar is saying for winds in here. Elkhorn 92. This is probably a little high, 95, but I mean, we've got some really strong winds blowing. Now, the camera that we're showing you from 192nd continues to be on the south edge of the strongest winds between 40 and 60. You see the blinding rain. You can't even see the road, and people are stopping. And I think flashing red lights is maybe the lights are out there, possibly. In fact, I'm worried I'm going to jump back and show. I've got this full screen here. Camera from, boy, it's like night. This is our camera at the Charles Schwab building, and look at that. Look at the traffic on Dodge. It is slowed down, it is packed, and the rain about to move in there. And, you know, the wind is super strong. So this is a destructive thunderstorm coming on in with all of these areas in the green showing the really, really strong winds moving on through. All right, now if I swap this for the Valley radar here, this is velocity from the Valley radar. So again, they're here. This stuff is going away. It's not perfect, but let's sample some of what they're showing in through here.
Yeah, Bill, in the National Weather Service at Valley, they just reported, I believe, 75 mile per hour wind gust. And also, just to put it in perspective, how strong these winds are, emergency managers in Cass County, they reported some power poles being snapped just north of Greenwood on Highway 63. Also, a semi turned over on the interstate. And we talk about tornado or hurricane force winds. When you're getting near 80 miles per hour, you know, that's a weak tornado wind. So although, you know, our wind isn't spinning, but it's straight line winds that are going to impact a lot of people. And obviously that's moving closer and closer to populated areas. So just keep that in mind as you go through these next few hours. This wind is the main threat, and it's obviously very strong.
Yeah, no question, Luke. I mean, you can't state it more forcefully here. You really, if you're driving a high-profile vehicle, you don't want to be out in this this kind of condition here, because these winds will blow you off the road. I mean, here's 680, and these winds are going to cross 680. There's 80. They're kind of blowing sideways along Interstate 80, but this whole area of wind, I mean, this couldn't be placed any worse. I mean, northern Sarpy, all of western now is getting into central Douglas County, all seeing these very strong winds surging over the Omaha metro. I mean, this is brutal stuff. And here's the camera. I think this is the camera that we just had a moment ago at the Charles Schwab building. And now the rain is there. Can't see a thing. And, you know, we're right in the middle of it. So as I get back to this, that's right here. And the wind and rain is there. And as I zoom in, you know, we are really into some very, very strong winds here. This area around Boys Town, 82. This is down toward Oakview Mall here, 75 to 80 for the winds. And then again, up here, this is up toward Bennington. We're seeing winds again around 80. So that's the Charles Schwab camera that you're looking at. And again, rain is just beating against the camera lens there. We are, I'm sure, bringing rush hour to a halt now, as that kind of rain you just can't really drive through very well. And that continues to move into the Regency area. That moves into the Irvington area shortly, not quite there yet. And as I go back to regular radar here, so this is what you normally look at. It's that leading edge. Boy, oh boy, this, I mean, so you see it right here. Very heavy rain and just the winds driving forward from Papillion to La Vista. We had given you 544 and 545 for Papillion and La Vista. And there's the leading edge right now into Papillion and also La Vista, Ralston. Exarban, I think our time there was 551. Not quite there yet, but just about for the leading edge to Exarban. Again, doesn't appear that there's a lot of hail, maybe a little bit out here around Boys Town. But it's the velocity of the wind that continues to be so impressive. And, you know, we're in a spot here where the radar is there and it looks out to the west. And so winds that are coming directly toward the radar are perfectly sampled by the radar.
Looks like a new warning, Bill, just similar to what we've been preaching here for the past, 20, 30 minutes. Another destructive severe thunderstorm warning that is out until 6:45 now. And includes Burt, Dodge, Douglas, Harrison, Pottawatomie, and Washington County. And again, the main threats, the 80 mile per hour winds. So that's why there's the destructive tag along these severe thunderstorm warnings.
Yeah, I don't think I've had that pop in here yet on the radar, but it will shortly, and it'll extend a little bit out to the northeast here. So still just a devastating storm coming across the Omaha metro. Maureen, you said you had video. There's the new warning, by the way, that Luke was talking about till 6:45, but 108th and Harrison. Oh, look at that. Wow. And that's the problem, is that, we've got very strong winds hitting fully leafed out trees, and we haven't had much recently. So if you catch it from the wrong direction, you're going to knock down trees. So we're going to get more and more of that. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, you see the red box. We got a tornado warning. It looks like Douglas, Harrison, Pottawatomie, and Washington County. It's just radar indicated rotation right now, so it doesn't look like this is confirmed.
Let's look at it. Zoom in here, Luke. So they're thinking maybe the leading edge, but nonetheless, tornado warning. So another reason for the sirens to go off. And if this is the areas that we're talking about here are Irvington, and probably this is the little spot right there in this area just between Exarban and Irvington, where you've got that potential little spin, what they look for on the leading edge of these things. Here's our radar, and then here's the velocity. You could make a case that there's a little bit of a weakness here. Whether or not there's a tornado, it looks like there are 80-mile-per-hour winds coming across these areas, and just look at the boxes we've got flashing there now. So tornado warning, possible tornado on the leading edge. To me, it's irrelevant. I mean, look at the winds that we've got. That whole area of green is winds of 60 to 80 miles per hour. That's such a wide swath that's getting hit by this. Here's the, again, sampling, 92, 81, 76. This is throughout that whole area: Waterloo, Elkhorn, Skyline, Valley, and then back to Boys Town. The whole area seeing super strong winds coming in from the west. Just going to be a ton of tree damage. And unfortunately, I imagine we're getting more and more power outages. I don't know, Maureen, if you have access to pull that up, but that'd be something to look at. You get an idea of the strength of the wind that comes through here. All right, this is the Weather Service's radar showing reflectivity. So in this, you're seeing the heavy rain that's over western half of Douglas County, almost all of Sarpy County, much of Cass County, and this is coming eastward here. And then this is their velocity. It sort of looks like this because the wind is coming toward here and away there. These are all away winds. And then this is our radar, which again is just so useful in a situation like this, because all these winds out here are still coming toward the radar at 72nd at Crown Point, and they're blowing basically from the west. So we get an almost perfect dead on look at the wind speeds here. So Bennington, go ahead, Maureen. Cass and Saunders County reporting 3,000 power outages, but I'm certain we're going to get many, many more once this comes in. The radar showing 80 to 90 mile per hour winds in this area from Bennington down to Boys Town, and now approaching 680 here. So this continues to advance through the rest of the metro. All right, let me go back and give you a leading edge on this. We don't know that there's a tornado, but there's a tornado warning, and the sirens are sounding. It's the leading edge there where
Bill, and when it comes
strongest winds. Go ahead, Luke.
To that tornado warning, it looks like there was a storm spotter that saw, they're saying north of 72nd and Dodge, just rotation in the air. They watched it pass over, which is something we don't recommend you do. Definitely be in a safe place right now. And once it passed over, it stopped rotating. So hopefully that means we are not at threat for a tornado touching the ground here. And when you have hurricane force winds, which we can compare this to hurricane force winds, a small spin up tornado, it's kind of really the threat area is the whole front line right now, as you mentioned, Bill.
Yeah, for sure, Luke. And we
and 1,700 in Sarpy.
Yeah, and I imagine that's going to just keep on going up here. It's almost sort of hard to track here, but what I've got is a new sort of path. So right into downtown Omaha, the leading edge is here right about now. Carter Lake 553. There's 90th and Dodge. So that's about where that little, area rotation sort of passed through. But look at the wind, look at the rain sweeping along Dodge there, blown along by what appears on our radar to be winds of 70 to 80 miles an hour. Look at that car. Look at the crosswind on that. My goodness. Better off just to wait this out. This is going to take, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes to go through any given location. It appears to be quite a wide swath of the very heavy winds that are coming on through. And as I'm looking at it on the radar here, we still have the very strong winds coming through most of the western half of Douglas County. And this green is wind coming from the west to the east. And then what you're looking at on our camera there from American National Bank is rain being blown very hard by the wind from west to east. So you see the traffic there. And it is dark. I mean, it is practically nighttime darkness with the very heavy rain coming on down there. Tough stuff. The whole area from Bennington to Elkhorn to Boys Town, still in this very, very strong wind. And let's just look at a few spots in there as we close in on Douglas County here. And the radar is estimating 92, 80, 75.7. So much like we've seen. And now some of these winds are getting onto the other side of the radar. So this is already having passed the radar site and going away. 42.7, that would be blowing this way. So this is kind of the leading edge right now, right along the North Freeway to Carter Lake, and then between downtown and Council Bluffs, right through there. And then this is I-80, and then where it splits, 29 goes south and 80 moves out to the northeast. So the leading edge wind is almost there. So you folks over here in Underwood and Neola and Minden, Quick, Trainer, when and this again is moving over Council Bluffs, Trainer, but really it's the wind. I mean, look at the camera that we're showing you there. That's Dodge at 90th Street, and the winds continue to surge. This is not just one little gust. I mean, this is impacting much of the city, and this is going to cause a tremendous amount of damage. And we've got so many trees that are going to be getting knocked down, have been knocked down. And again, we're going to have power outages that are going to last a while here. So that leading edge continues to work through. And we still are showing these super strong winds from our radar up in this area between Bennington and Irvington. So still the west winds are blowing there. And I'll just sample it in through here. We still have 72, 78, 72, 68.7, 82 miles per hour. So much like the Weather Service's radar, our radar is showing this. And, you know, this is that area kind of between Maple and Fort and State, sort of up around the Players Club area. And from there up into north central Douglas County.
Hey, Bill, we just got a wind report of 89 miles per hour in Louisville for Cass County, Nebraska.
Wow.
I think that's the strongest one I've seen. And again, I'm going to compare this to hurricane force winds. This is like if a Category 1 hurricane was moving over you. That's how strong these winds are. So it's just brutal out there. I
mean, that or even worse than a Category 1, Luke. I mean, we've got these winds and they're extending over a very, very large area. That in this case, this is being sampled from the radar down out in Valley, but this whole area from northern Douglas County and just southwest of Fort Calhoun through downtown Omaha, Bellevue, Plattsmouth, and what came through Louisville there. Those are all the same kinds of winds that we're seeing. And of course, the leading edge, two little tornado warnings, just the idea that maybe there was a spin up on the leading edge, but in reality, it's just the wind. It's just the straight line wind that is surging out from this thunderstorm and continues to surge out. So some of the very strongest winds are now starting to move right over our camera at 72nd and Crown Point through that area. Here's Irvington. And when we see these greens start to diminish, we'll know the leading edge winds have weakened a bit. All right, there's the camera at 72nd and Crown. I don't know, Maureen or Luke, if you can take control of that and point it down, but look at it, it's shaking there. And if we look straight down, we'll be able to sometimes see the road from there. That is just a super strong wind that is blowing sideways past that camera here. Yeah, we're not getting a whole lot. I mean, you're looking at wind-driven rain from that camera. So there's the tower itself. And it is just phenomenal. That is the strongest wind, you know, probably the 80 to 90 mile per hour winds moving on through that area. All right, back on the radar here. Flashing are the destructive tagged severe thunderstorm warnings for winds to 80. And we've seen some winds stronger than 80 miles an hour moving over the Omaha Metro. I'm going to back up here. This, I think, is the Charles Schwab camera. And from this camera, looking at that, I don't know, Luke, if you can switch on my graphics here over to, let's go to the downtown Embassy Suites, if that one is up. You still see traffic very slow on the West Dodge Expressway. People are driving with their flashers on, which is, again, the appropriate thing to do here. You can't drive your normal speeds. Don't want somebody coming in behind you. I'm not sure.
So that's the Embassy Suites downtown camera.
Wow. Well, we can't see, and it is. I mean, there is something in here. I don't know if you can move that camera, see if we can see anything on it, but flashes of lightning. There we go. And then if you can widen that out just a little bit here. So that is, there we go. We're looking west and toward downtown. There's the flag here. Holy cow, 45,000 now without power across the city of Omaha. And there's downtown. Power still on here. And some of the strongest winds are maybe just north of there, but look at 10th Street right here. You see people trying to drive on that. I don't know if we have the Lewis and Clark Monument camera, Luke, if you can punch that one up. I'm not sure. We're probably there. And that one would be good. And then same thing for the Livestock Exchange Building. There's the Lewis and Clark Monument. This is looking, we typically have this pointed west, and usually out here is downtown. And then you're seeing, I-29 is there, and you can't see a thing. I don't know. How about let's switch off to the Livestock Exchange Building camera. That one also, in some of the strong winds that we're seeing here. What a storm coming on across the Omaha Metro, 60 to 80 and even 85-mile-per-hour winds. There's the Livestock Exchange. This is the Kennedy Freeway. I'm going to think this is looking maybe southbound from there. Hard to say, but
It's actually
certainly
looking north from there.
Okay, I
Yep.
can't tell because usually you can see the buildings. You can't see it.
Like we got a confirmed tornado warning.
Oh, okay.
I just
this is over
noticed
here.
there.
This is and read the warning, Luke. Let's see. Just somebody saying confirmed
Says-
tornado.
Yeah, just confirmed tornado moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. The warning goes out until 6:30. I'm going to try to read through some of these reports here and see if I can find something.
Okay. That leading edge, though. So that right here is Highway 6 right there. And then this is Highway 92 that goes through Trainer. So it's kind of right in between there. And this would be where the radar is showing a toward and away couplet. Let's see when it sweeps on by if it still shows that. Possibly so. At any rate, this, you got to take it seriously if you're over here, between Highway 6 and Highway 92 on the far east side of Council Bluffs, racing eastward on the leading edge of this. And, we have had these things, right? Remember the tornado outbreak that we had with the derecho that came through in the overnight back in May, where we had same kind of thing right here. So take it seriously, be in the safe this evening. All right, as I broaden back out, some of the very strongest winds on our radar in this northern part of Douglas County. And our radar, this is still right on time. This has been for 20 minutes. We've been tracking these winds, still 70 miles an hour on the radar. So there's going to be a tremendous amount of tree damage with this and power line damage on top of the tree damage. So this is a massive situation that's going to be cleanup for days. Let me switch over to the national. Radar, all outbound wind and directly away from the radar and valley. And let's just see what kind of winds we got here. South of Fort Calhoun, 91, 87, Ponca Hills, 87, 84, 87 near Epley Airfield. Luke, I don't know if you're monitoring Epley Airfield's sensor, but that would be a good one. If you just put it up on Mac somewhere, you'll see when it hits there and what kind of wind gusts we got, because
it looks like we got 62 is our strongest gust right now, but I'm sure we've got a couple that have been higher than that, or they're going to be on the way.
So that's just Epley Airfield, but this is just all over the city. The radars are still showing winds of 80 miles per hour plus. Now this is still 1,000 feet above the ground, so not every that come together. The wind-driven rain there, that's a live camera. Somebody's in our best. Just the way the storms have been right over Omaha, and you see how this line is just like it's a backwards C here. That's a bow echo, and it is just racing out to the east. And where you see these little areas where, like here into South Omaha, that's where you've got, kind of this air coming from the backside, descending and drying out. And that shows you the leading edge, strongest wind. So punching back through here, maybe that's why it spun up that brief tornado. Perhaps there's still a tornado in the southeast side of Council Bluffs. But this whole leading edge continues to accelerate out right over Douglas, Sarpy, Pottawatomie, Mills, and Cass County. Just a phenomenal storm when you look at it from that perspective. And if I just go back, let's go back an hour, and you'll see how this has evolved, and watch it blow out right there over Omaha. See, the winds have accelerated over Omaha and fanned Channel 7 balcony at 7 Burlington. Letting up a little bit farther west in Douglas County here. The radars are both showing wind speeds out there of 30, 40 miles an hour, and the strongest winds now along the river and into Pottawatomie County, Council Bluffs, and western Iowa. Rob, you got a report there?
Just under 68,000 power outages.
Gosh, 68,000 without power.
33 in Douglas, 26 Sarpy.
33,000 Douglas County, 26,000 in Sarpy. And the one thing about the radars is they're not probably sampling the winds as well as we would hope down in Sarpy County. So I'm sure you folks down there have had the same kinds of winds that we've had in Douglas County, but between La Vista with this. And then, back in here, this leading edge, probably, if there is any kind of a spin up, it's very near Quick now. This would be what our radar is showing between Quick and Trainer, where we had the report of the tornado. That would be in this area now, which again is pretty close to Highway 6. And continuing to work eastward. If I zoom in tight, essentially is a spin up on the leading edge of that blowing on through here. There's reflectivity from our radar. There's the National Weather Services. There's our live view. Boy, oh boy, look at that. So again, in through here, through South Omaha, that's where that wind is kind of coming in from the backside and being diverted downward, sort of dries out the rain column, and it gives you this weakness where you've got green surrounded by yellow, orange, and red. But that probably helps to fuel the strong winds on the leading edge of the complex of thunderstorms there. And then this stuff moving through northeast Douglas County now, just still very strong winds. Look at that. I mean, this is right on top of the radar. I don't know if we have that camera from 72nd and Crown, but this is the radar. So it's right at the ground is 71, 62 miles an hour. So this is right immediately adjacent to the radar. 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. There's the 72nd and Crown Point with the radar. that. The winds, phenomenal. Still, this area between Council Bluffs and Crescent, destructive thunderstorm continues in that area. Severe thunderstorm warning, but